breathe. Everybody's up there and everybody's cheering. Come on. Everybody's run up. And I'm trying to get up last. I've got Pass behind me, pushing me up. Yes. Oh, no, what the fuck have I got?
You know, you won everyone's respect.
Yeah.
You never give up.
Yeah.
You never give up. And for us, we saw it. We were suffering ourselves, but we were already trained for that suffering. You arrive as brand new challenge, and all of a sudden we're thinking, there's no way he's going to finish the session here. And you did, and you used everything. And I think that moment was, okay, Bayo deserves the respect from the dressing room here.
So the first season we've got there at Swansea, up until January, we're flying. And then I think exactly that, the desperation of success. I think back then we spent 300,000 in January. We brought in Rory Fallon and we brought in Leon Knight.
Mm-hmm.
We played Carlisle and we win it 2-1.
Yes.
And then we get to the playoff final. I just remember started hearing rumours as a player that they were saying, hey, Robbie could one day manage Swansea. So as a player, I'm hearing this, but I'm only seeing you as my captain.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember when I first heard that, I was like, Robbie, he's still playing. So at this time, you're still playing. But then I remember where, for the playoff final, he put you in the stands. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking, what's going on there? So cut long story short in that, I'm just setting the scene for you. We get to the playoff final, we get to penalties. I miss one, Alan Tate missed one. You're not involved in the squad. So you've come down in your suit on the pitch, right? And then I remember just looking around and everybody was devastated. The fans were crying. We had our players on the floor crying. But I wasn't emotional until you came up and you hugged me and you said, B, it just wasn't our time. You wasn't playing. He had exiled you out of the squad and it impacted you to the point that it impacted me that I teared up at that point. And there's a picture there where you're consoling me. That was the moment when I saw how much football could mean to others, but it meant to you as our captain. So what can you remember about that time? But then also about not how you was treated, but did you, even while you was playing, was you thinking, well, I want to manage Swansea? Or you understand what I'm trying to get at?
Yeah. I think obviously I need to give you my background. I was growing up with my dad being a local team coach, and we would take these discussions at home that the coach needs to make decisions, and sometimes there's no right or wrong. It's just, as a player, you shouldn't try to give a reason for every decision that happens in a football pitch or in a dressing room. You just need to be professional, try to help. It's a team sport. Sometimes you got moments that you need to think about you, the individual career, and then most of the time is about what can you do to help the team to be better than the other team. And I remember that day. It was very, very difficult as well, because I knew how important it was to get into the championship. It meant everything for the club, the new stadium. I was the captain. As it happens, at that time, I wasn't involved. I move away from that. We here, the other team have players on the pitch, players on the bench, and players outside. If I can make the difference better than the opposition on the players that they are not on the pitch, that could help. For me, it was the penalty shootout is something that sometimes in football we got no answer for something, why it happens, for good and for bad. And I remember that moment I felt the pain as obviously you had to take a penalty. Not everybody had to take a penalty. I would have loved to take a penalty, but I knew that is a team effort, and whoever misses the penalty is because you took it, not for any other reason. And you need to understand that things happen for a reason, but sometimes there's no reason for it. And at that moment, I remember we had a pain, and I remember hugging you. And I don't remember anything about the game. I don't remember before the game how I felt. Nothing. I just thought about that moment. That okay, if we could treasure that feeling, that will get us in a good place for the next time that we can achieve the objective. And it was so beautiful to always in pain, sharing that pain for the right reasons. But I do think that that's a memory looking back that I really remember. Then going to a dressing room, and it was so difficult to control the emotions, and it meant something. I think you accept losing in a football game when everybody gave everything, and it meant a lot to try to win.
Okay, so Kenny Jackett, you go to Chester, I think it is. It's Chester.
Yes.
So you go to Chester to play still, right?
Yeah.
So you play it. So this is what. So what threw me massive. So you go to Chester to play, and then we start the next season. And I remember, so I break my leg.
That was in October when you broke your leg?
I broke my leg beginning of the year. So I broke my leg in February. So I broke my leg in February. Then Kenny Jackett gets sacked. I think Kenny Jackett got sacked the week after I broke my leg. So it's very, very...
That would make sense, yeah.
Very, very soon after I broke my leg. And then you come in.
Yeah.
So again, of course, I'm like, wait. So for me, I was like, wait. So they was right. Like, he got to be a manager again. And I always try and put it into perspective, whereas, because, like I said, that was the first season I came in. Like I said, I was young. So when you're young, you only kind of focus on what's in front of you. You know what I'm saying? Not what goes on behind the scenes. So I was just like, this is my captain. So, and then my captain, 6 months later, becomes my manager. But by this time, I'm doing rehab. And I do want to say, I've got one footballing regret. And I've said this many times, and that was leaving Swansea. It was the only time I chased money. It was the only time. And like I said, to have the opportunity to play under you at that time. And like I said, I sat down, came into it, and you was going through who you wanted to stay, who you didn't want to stay. And that was when you sat me down. I'm looking at you. B as the leg guy. Yeah, cool. Listen, I want you here for next season. Your energy needs to be around. And at that time, this is what I said. I didn't take it in. I was like, yeah, cool. I want to be here. I remember chatting to Hugh Jenkins. Listen, this is what I want. I broke my leg playing for you. All stuff which now you're like, they still want to offer you a contract. Why you broke your leg? What's up with you? So now you're a manager. The style you brought to Swansea, I keep saying it. You would have got me to the Prem. I just know this, I know this. But talk to me about that now. So you're going back in from player to manager. What is the mindset of that, especially at a club that meant so much to you? What's that mindset, and what's that shift like?
Well, I've always said I'll never, ever give up my football career. And with my dad, I used to have those conversations. My dad retired at 47. And I always to say, obviously, I've got your genes, so I'm going to beat you. Because nowadays, we got better technology to help the body. So I'm going to beat you. And I remember ringing him. So Hugh Jenkins, we're talking about visionaries. I always believed in people in football that they got this vision. Hugh Jenkins had the vision of giving opportunity to young managers that they could bring something to Swansea and create a partnership. I don't think he never believed in old managers that they would come in and be one of many. He wanted somebody special in terms of fitting in to do something different to Swansea that without the same budget could achieve on the pitch more than other clubs. So at that time, you're talking about competing against Nottingham Forest, competing against Leeds to get out of League One. And I rang my dad and I said, look, I feel that I need to give up playing. I need to start coaching. I've got this opportunity. And he said to me, well, wow, that's strange to hear. You sound convinced. And the reason was, he said, I know what I want to do because I arrived in 95 and I've been suffering by knowing that the game can be played in a different way, because it was always this way of thinking in the lower leagues in the British game, you cannot play pretty football, or you cannot play risk football of possession football based. And I always believed that you could, because the idea was you need to defend, you need to win duels. And my idea was, well, you don't have to win the duels if you don't lose the ball. And it's try to defend with the ball. And it's just a concept that is very easy now to understand. But we're talking about 2007. Can we in League One defend with the ball? And obviously, the only club I could go back where the fans would give me extra time as a manager nowadays is you need to almost survive 3 defeats. When you lose 3 games, you're in question. And I always felt the Swansea fans will give me more time than probably another club that I haven't got an affinity. I know the players in the dressing room, and I need them to believe that we can play this way. So all these aspects, and then the vision of Hugh Jenkins. I said to Hugh Jenkins, he said, I feel I'm not prepared to give up my playing career. And he said, and that was a moment of genius, because any other chairman would said, okay, I understand, move on. He just said, well, become player manager. I said, oh, wow, I never thought of that. So for me, tick a box. I can still be a player. If it doesn't work next year, when I get the sack, I'll go and carry on playing. And it gives me a great safety net. So I said, no, that's probably, I would need 6 weeks in any dressing room to bring my ideas into this team. With this team, in 2 sessions, we'll get it. I've got Leon Britton, that he was a right winger, but he wasn't a right winger with pace to go past people. He was that technical quality. And I'm thinking, this right winger, he needs to be over 6. He will be involved with the centre half. He'll make us play. And everything was built like that. I remember that conversation with Leon Britton. I said, I want you to be a big part of this team, but you need to become a number 6. You're talking about a right winger that he played as a 10. And straight away, yeah, no problem. And it was a new start, but with a very clear idea of how we were going to play. So we're going to go from having 120 passes per game to reaching 900 passes per game. And that's you have to buy into it, obviously. But the way that I wanted to do it is using the quality of each individual and then make it in a very clear idea. We're going to defend with the ball. We're going to keep the ball. We're going to create numerical advantages. And that's where probably that conversation that we had, I needed players to almost, the priority was, yes, we're staying here. So I couldn't really be forceful with players to say, oh, just stay. Or it just, in your case.
I hope you did. I looked at you and said, you should have said, be where you got, man. Stay your ass right here, but it's cool though.
But I do believe that with the strength that you had, absolutely you would have been in that journey of Swansea.
Yeah, man.
Obviously, you got promoted, and then you had really strong style. That probably the style is stronger than any manager that he can come in, and like Leon Britton, Alan Tate, players that they came through the ranks, and you would have been absolutely, without a doubt, with your qualities in the Premier League within that right environment.
What was the hardest thing you dealt with initially as being a manager?
The hardest thing, without a doubt. I knew exactly how I wanted to play. I knew exactly how I wanted to train. I knew exactly how I wanted to get the physicality that we need to have in games through training in a methodology completely different, everything with the ball. What I was not prepared is that the day that I finished at Chester on a Friday, I finished my training as a player. I got in a car, came down just to join the squad at Swansea for the first game against Yeovil, and I would be in the stand. Then that Sunday, next day, we were training together to prepare the game on Tuesday. I was never prepared to be in the training ground and every 5 minutes having somebody knocking on the door and asking for me to make a decision to at what time we have a lunch, how long is the grass, what time do you want the bus for the weekend. That was like a shock. Like, I need to anticipate this. I cannot just be having the day that I need to wait to who's going to ask me what.
Yeah.
And that became a real, that's got nothing to do with football. That's just organizing, having a plan, having a vision, and anticipating any decision that is going to be made around the team that is not natural in the football terms. And that was the hardest aspect, that I had to almost anticipate everything else, because everything was made with a lot of responsibility, a lot of love. Straight away, I knew the players. I knew the players, where they were going to celebrate, where they were going to enjoy themselves. I could be very, very demanding, but at the same time, I could understand them. And that created a winning culture. And then make us play in a way that every player knew that it could have an effect in the way we were playing, but a completely different way that the other teams would play. But without a doubt, was the biggest shift between being a player and being a coach.
So now let's jump to Wigan. So now you've gone from the knowing of Swansea. Now you go Wigan. You get to the FA Cup final against City. So they got like Tevez and Aguero. No, is it Tevez? They got Aguero.
Both
Tevez, Aguero.
Tevez, Aguero, Silva, Gareth Barry.
Playing against 90,000. What's your memory of not only just playing at that final for 9,000, but winning it? Like,
yeah, I think that was, obviously now looking back, we couldn't play a final. Before the game, when we were preparing the game, I felt very strongly that if we were going to play a final against Man City, we were going to lose, because the players They got more experience than us as a team, as a manager. I've never been in a final. You got Roberto Mancini that has already won the league title. So we had to somehow change the mindset to playing a game against City. And what I could use was the last time we played City, and that happened 4 weeks before. And the way it went is we played at City, and we lost 1-0, and we were fantastic. And that mental barrier was exactly what we had to overcome if we wanted to win that FA Cup final. So we absolutely focus on, we're playing against City, we're replaying the game that we played a few weeks back. And when we're in those positions, we need to do this better, we need to do this better, and we need to score goals. That day we had 2 chances, 1v1 with the keeper. We missed it. They had a harder chance and they scored. And that was the difference. And all our work was in that aspect. We don't play City, we play our game, and the reference is the game that we played against them. And everything was clear, and we're going to enjoy the fact that we're going to do it in a global audience, and we're going to do it in the most iconic stadium that there is in football. And those aspects didn't make us nervous. I remember that we were always very flexible tactically. I could see before kickoff, Nasri is turning to the bench, and he's saying he's a back 4, and they're looking again. No, he's a back 3. We had a few injuries, so we had a lot of names in that lineup that they could play in different positions, and I could see that they were a little bit worried because they beat Chelsea in the semi-final. Obviously, if you beat Chelsea in the semi-final, you're going to the final to play Wigan. Almost, this is you to lose, right?
Who did you not beat in the semi?
Millwall.
Okay.
So we beat Everton in the quarterfinals at Goodison Park, and then is the journey in the FA Cup. You becoming from the underdog, you becoming to the favourite, and that's something that has helped me a lot in international football, because that tournament football, that tournament feel that you have to adapt when you're an underdog and when you're the favourites. You should be able to control the game in the same way. So the pressure then was on Everton's side when we played against Everton in the quarterfinals. Then we go to the semi-finals. The pressure's on us because Millwall are the underdogs. They're in the championship at that time. And then we go to the final. We become the underdogs. But we played the game. We played the game like you could just go in through every phase of the game and see what we were trying to do. And that was the reason why we beat Man City on the day.
So, talk to me. So, you said, did you believe? So, when they chat to managers or players the night before and it goes well, and they always ask that question, did you believe in that? So, did you believe that you could win that game?
Totally.
Yeah?
Totally. I was convinced because obviously we wanted to do certain aspects that we thought it would help us. We had Callum McManaman, an outstanding 1v1 player. We wanted to isolate as many options of 1v1 that we could. We had Sean Maloney getting into little pockets where we could find space. We had very specific aspects, and we wanted those actions to be the biggest amount of actions during the game. And it was the first 60 minutes we were outstanding. And then you have to use all your experience. Obviously, Wigan being in the Premier League, you have to be ready to see games out. Every aspect of the performance is a wonderful story, and I think it's the FA Cup is probably one of the best examples of the FA Cup. You can follow your dream if you really believe it. The underdog story, and it was a shock because I think there will be shocks in the FA Cup, but there is always maybe the ground, maybe the pitch, maybe the conditions. Here is the most pristine pitch surface. 2 teams, champion of England, against a team that our objective is 34 points every season. It's the magic of the FA Cup.
What's the difference between, say, you was at final with a player and then a final with the manager? What's that? Because I ain't never gonna be a manager, so I ain't never gonna have that second feeling. So I'm asking, what's the difference where you can't affect it going on the pitch?
Mm-hmm.
So what's that feeling like? And then when you win, what's that feeling like?
I thought nothing's better than scoring a goal.
Yeah.
The feeling of scoring a goal is the best feeling you get in football. The second best is helping somebody to score a goal.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you feel as a manager. If you see that the player got but help by the preparation and create a numerical advantage, something that allows the player to enjoy the occasion. I think that's a real satisfaction, but seen always through the eyes of the players. I always believe as a manager, we are not the guys that should grab the headlines. The headlines are for the players. They are the ones that they play in the games, and they are the ones that they deserve all the credit. So you enjoy it in a different way. I must admit I was never prepared for the feeling after the final whistle. It's something that I wasn't prepared. It's such a it's difficult to describe, but it's a feeling of satisfaction, of proud moment for everyone. You feel that you represent your town, your club, and you want more. You want more. You feel after that you want more. You want to create more moments like that. But it was quite something difficult to describe what you feel. More it's just a joy and a happiness that is shared for everybody, that it represents the same badge.
So you win that. So you just said it. You're on beyond cloud nine.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of days later, you get relegated. I'm gonna have to bring it real.
Totally.
So you get relegated. So how do you handle that? So how do you handle the up and then the down?
Mm-hmm.
Not like, of course, you know there's a possibility. I'm just like, how do you handle that elation to then the come down?
I think it goes back to what I was saying to you before. You're trying to give a justification, the why. The FA Cup final should be the last game of the calendar season. And that campaign is the Champions League final at Wembley. That means that the FA Cup final needs to be earlier than the finishing of the season.
Yeah.
So you play the game and then you got 2 games after. And it was I would say a reality check. We were in the happiest moment on that Saturday after winning the FA Cup, the first trophy in the history of the first major trophy in the history of Wigan Athletic. And then 3 days later, you play away at Arsenal, knowing that you have to get a result in order to have enough points. And this is where you become experienced. We all have to go through difficult moments to appreciate the good moments. We all have to get difficult experiences to be able to affect what is going to become a good moment. So you take it as it is, understanding that this is life, this is football. And I think what happens in football is a great representation of what happened in life. When you get a great moment, you need to enjoy it. And then straight away, you go back to focusing for the next step. When you get a really low moment, you need to be autocritical. You need to understand it, what you could have done better, why did it happen, and become stronger. And the word experience, what's the word experience? Is when you're going to get in the same position, you're going to use what you've learned before to get a different outcome. And this is a lesson of life. And it was tough because at that time, we are relegated. I think it was with 34 points, which is a good points tally. Yeah. We lost the game before the FA Cup final, which you could imagine. We are preparing for FA Cup final. The game in the league is a game that, as in our seasons, Wigan Athletic, I remember one season we won 7 and drawn 2 in the last 9 games, which is in the league form is top of the league. You needed every point in the league. And that FA Cup final probably affected the 3 points before and then the game after. After 60 minutes, you're not going to have the same energy against an Arsenal side that has been resting for 10 days while we were playing the FA Cup final. So you see aspects, but do you celebrate the FA Cup win when you are relegated? Because we are in the training ground and nobody felt like celebrating because we've won the FA Cup on Saturday, but then we played on Tuesday, and this is after the game at the weekend. We are relegated. And there is where I think something that it happens in the British game that it doesn't happen in another league around the world. The fans were the ones demanding, no, we have to celebrate. Our name is in the famous cup, and it's going to be there forever. We got relegated, and we're going to fight to come back. And that's what it happens. And that was a real realization that this is what it matters. We are all involved in football to create moments, magic, moments of memories forever. And there will be tough moments, good moments, bad moments, but everything else is a process. And we went out. I remember Mike Pollitt, that he was in the squad. We were going from the training ground with an open bus, and there was nobody on the streets. And we're thinking, this is the worst idea. How can we celebrate after getting relegated? And Mike Collins said, look, no one is going to be us. And then as we arrived into the town centre, it was incredible. Incredible. It's thousands and thousands and thousands of people just having that joy of achieving something unique together. And as it happens in any family, you got setbacks. And when you get a setback, you get up and you just take responsibility and just you take the next step. We have an amazing time. We celebrated until now. When you go back to Wigan, somebody reminds you, I was 10 years old, I was in the parade, and there is moments that they've been stimulating to many families, and that's what you keep understanding, that any high is going to be a low around the corner, and it's part of it.
What are you like when you're away from it? Because I can't really remember I can't remember you ever kind of getting angry, disappointed, frustrated. I get that as being a captain, but I can't ever remember you losing your head, shouting, and I've always say this, I think there's certain people where if you've got a problem with me, it's my fault. There's certain people where you're like, right, if I've made Robbie get mad, I did something. So when you're like those elements, and you've touched on it elegantly enough to be like, look, things happen. Don't get too high when you win. Don't get too low. What's your go-to in regards to dealing with adversity when a setback and it's just you? What do you go through?
I think you're trying to be very rational. I tried to learn that very, very early. You need to try to be autocritical and seeing the situation. And
are you an overthinker?
No.
Okay.
But I like to think when we lose a game, I need my space to find out why. Okay. And I think that's a period. It is a rational period. It's trying to give, any moment that it was something unexpected, something that it was tough to take, just why did it happen? Is there anything that we could have done better?
Yeah.
You got two reactions straight away. You can blame somebody, or you can just be autocritical and learn from that situation. And I try to be like that. I don't believe emotions in a tough moment that could cross a line that will be very difficult then to repair. I never believed on those emotions. I never got any satisfaction from using an emotion to get rid of a bad moment. I try to be more rational, and it helped me a lot to be a coach, because during games, you need to find solutions. And if you can be rational and overcome the emotions, you will be able to come up with solutions for your players. And I think if you are in that way, more autocritical from your point of view and be rational, I think is easier the next step, rather than be emotional, feel good at that moment, and then having to repair relationships and being able to almost come out stronger out of any situation. I think any situation that it happens, good or bad, in a group of people, and it's not just a sport, it's not just football. When you are together, working in business, education, you need to grow. There will be good moments, bad moments, those emotions. And I think if you can maintain it rational, that gives you a good way to become better.
And of course, you've gone on Everton, all these are big clubs. I just want to know, brother, what's that feeling like for you when you're like, oh shit, man, these are like top tier. What's that?
I think is living the moment. You never get out of where you are, and you see it as something that it could happen, and then you need to. I think I need to share a moment that it happened with my chairman at Wigan Athletic, Dave Whelan, and I think that changed the way I approach my career. And I'm not somebody that he says that this is the right way or the wrong way.
Sure.
Every manager, when you've got an opportunity, you need to value the right time. I arrived when I played 6 years for Wigan Athletic. I went away, and then Dave Whelan offers me to come back at the age of 35 to manage the team in the Premier League. And I had a conversation that day, and for me, he said, you're going to sign a 4-year deal, and if you get relegated the first season, you're going to be my manager in the Championship. If you get relegated in the Championship, you're going to be my manager in League One. He said, because it's my mistake. I believe in you. I trust what you bring in here, and I'm going to be with you for the 4 years. And at that point, I had opportunities to leave after the first year, after the second year, after the third year. And that teach me a lesson that you have to commit to your project. And then at the right time, other aspects will come. And I followed that in my career. And it was so right in the third season that those conversations happened in the first season. And he said to me, it's not the right time. We got big things. We're going to achieve big things together. And we won the FA Cup together. And that almost allowed me to believe that whenever I'm in a job, I'm going to manage the team and the federation or the club like I'm going to be there for 50 years. And my decisions are going to be to improve the setup and try to improve the players. And if I lose the job in 2 weeks, so be it. But my way of working is that I'm going to be there for 50 years and try to respect the projects. As it happens, I went to Belgium. I was there for 7 seasons. I had opportunities to leave during that period. And then it makes sense to me. I don't think it's picking the right moment to leave. It's just you need to commit to a project. If the project is finished, you move on to the next one as it happens. But if not, I would rather to do that. At Swansea, I always felt that we grew too quickly.
Okay.
And probably the only way we had a bit of we played an FA Cup game against Fulham, and we were fantastic at home. And then we played away from home, and we were missing something. And at that time, we couldn't get it. We didn't have the finances to bring it. It's almost that we got there too quickly.
Right.
And that was a moment that I felt, okay, now probably the best for me if I need to go because I'm getting really anxious about this process. And probably for Swans, it's going to be the right way to step back to be able to get the... And it worked. It worked because it was a tough period for... probably it's the only time that I left a football club where it was a bit misunderstood. But then after 2 years, everything made sense. I went back to one of my former clubs with the vision of the chairman that he brought me in the British game. Swansea City got into the Premier League, won a major trophy. So the process was right. But I think that was a story that it happened and probably tailored the way that I look at my career and my projects and what I've done after that.
So then you went over to the other side, to Everton, I think first season, 5th.
Yes,
you finished
72 points, the highest point style in the Premier League.
On you, but saying that, it's Everton, well done. So now Everton, at this time, these are, massive history, big club. And from what I get from you is you don't ever seem overawed. You go in and you acknowledge what you've got to do. That's what it is. But what's your memories of Everton?
I got introduced to Everton by probably the best person to introduce me to Everton, Bill Kenwright, the chairman at that time. It was this old-fashioned type of owner like I had with Dave Whelan at Wigan, chairmen that they loved the club. But genuinely, Bill Kenwright was blue. I'm sure that inside he had this magic way of transmitting what it meant to represent Everton. And I found that very stimulating. I wanted to know more about the history of Everton. I was only the 14th manager to manage that club. I knew what Howard Kendall did. You got even the aspects going into the 60s, where Harry Catterick did, Will Cuff, the way that the club thought about the School of Science. And I embraced that history. I always felt that was very powerful. What probably in the past it was seen like wow, this is for the players, a high pressure to come to Everton, and people are still talking about the league titles in the 80s. I thought, no, this is powerful. This is something that other clubs don't have. And we enjoyed it, being able to share information of who was Dixie Dean, the first number 9 in the British game, aspects in the Everton history that could make us even stronger.
Okay.
And that first season, obviously, is a big change of style. The fans had to be patient and they had to understand. Once we got into the winning rhythm, we were very unfortunate to get 72 points and not get into the Champions League. 72 points wouldn't get you in the Champions League. We were very close. We beat Arsenal 3-0 at home. We felt that we were there. Then in the last few games, they overtook us. But at that point, I felt this is the moment to win silverware. You got into a crossroads. You want to bring Champions League potential players. The players only sign for a Champions League club that he plays in the Champions League. So we had to win silverware. And we were very close. When I look at, we got 2 semi-finals, the FA Cup, the League Cup as well against Man City over 2 legs. We won at home. We lost away in a very dubious game at Wembley in the semi-final. We missed a penalty. We conceded in the 92nd minute.
This is
we
the
were
kind of occasion we all
away from getting silverware. And I thought that was all this work was to get silverware to make the next step. So I look back with, I think we did well to embrace the history. I don't think it was a high-pressure demands of the fans. It's normal.
Derek Ray here on the commentary position, and sitting next to me is the former England international Sue Smith.
They need to be there.
And we have pre-season group stage action from the European International Cup coming up for you. What are your expectations for today?
Yeah, well, they'll have done lots of training coming into today, but there's nothing like being back on the pitch. I'm sure that both sides will be a little bit rusty, but hopefully we get a good game.
We were brave enough to give the responsibility to young players. The first time that we give a Ross Barkley the opportunity to win games for Everton,
so
John Stones, to give him the debut in the Premier League, to have Gerald Deulofeu. We had a beautiful mixture with the experience of these talent, Jagielka, Tim Howard, Seamus Coleman, Gareth Bale. We created a wonderful mixture that almost embraced that pressure of carrying the history of the club. I only felt that we were so close to reach that goal that was just getting
it's different. So as a player,
and let's give credit to the defending.
As a player, because I was a player with him. You know
what I'm saying?
You just reeled off some names like Stones and Barkley that come in.
Could be troublesome.
You're like, yeah, you know what? Stands out when you look back at it. Those sort of players.
It's a great question because obviously there is no.
Thank you.
And swiftly ending that
this is one of the conversations that we have in the dressing room.
Read the situation well.
Let me tell you, there are 2 types of managers, and that happens in the modern game. There's the manager that they are meticulous with the system, and they need the player to fit in the system.
Smooth in possession.
You become very, very good at that system. The player knows exactly the responsibilities, the roles on and off the ball, and you become part of a winning system. And then there's the other type of coach that I'm more inclined. That's what I enjoy. That is, let's bring the outstanding aspect of each player and make a balanced structure. Then you need to be very flexible tactically. You need to find different systems, different ways that you can use it. I enjoy that. Every player, you and me, everybody else, football, you can analyze a player and find the outstanding aspect that player has. The perfect player that has got everything, that is good off the ball, that is good on the ball, that's good in the air, that's good in set plays, doesn't exist. But there are exceptional qualities in a player. So when you see an exceptional quality, it's a question of using it in the context of a team.
Yeah.
So
good
if I've got a player that's fantastic at 1v1 actions offensively, if I ask him to defend in a low block, he's not going to be the right player to do that. So it's fitting in the right context.
Well, nothing to split the 2 sides, but this
move
looks promising.
What I found with international football. International football is more
in possession.
Individual outstanding attribute that player has with the right attitude.
It through.
We're not talking about attitude. Attitude is probably the commitment that the player has to the game, to the teammates, and to his responsibility to be part of a winning team. All the aspects that you need to do off the ball, all the aspects that you need to do when things get tough, taking risks. There are many aspects that they are part of the attitude. That would be the psychological aspect of the player. But I do enjoy when a player has an outstanding quality, and he has that attitude of being accountable, of getting through the difficult moments to help the team.
And they have possession
you need
again.
to find a way to put him in a structure of a team. That would be probably the 2 types of managers that you have in using time.
A couple names.
And a chance to whip it in here.
Who stood out?
It's a neat move.
I'm not just saying a joy to manage, because it was a joy to manage most of it. But for you as the way you see football that you were just like, yeah,
Ali,
that's the player?
I've got many cases. For example, I remember
is it going to be?
we had a session where we had a recovery group and there were only 4 players on the
it's
pitch.
going to be a free kick.
And it was 2 very experienced players hating that he was playing for Holland, reach a World Cup final. You had Jelavic, a very experienced Croat that he played for Rangers, and he had a very good time at Everton. And we were playing with it's a 2v2 with a very small spaces. It was a lot of quick actions, and Ross Barkley was a young player that didn't really have a big role at Everton at that time. And we're doing a session, and he got two moments the ball turned, and he had a shot, and he missed the target completely. And none of those 2 experienced players told him off. You could see there was an incredible respect of saying, no, you can do that. You can take the gamble.
Yeah.
And that was a bit of a, well, that's a young player that is not important in the team.
So here we go, the stars of the second half at the home of PSG, the Parc des Princes.
So I carried on following, and everything was intuitive, was such an expression that Ross at right and left, he could turn his kind of physicality that is not normal with the technical quality that he had. And at that moment was, wow, if he's got the respect of these players, and we need to keep an eye on what he can do. And then he was the team
nice ball over the top.
Goalkeeper, very experienced. Obviously, we're talking about the goalkeeper who was at Manchester United, number 1 United States. When I arrived at Everton, it was a very demanding position. A big change for the role of the goalkeeper in the centre half. So we're talking about a centre half that an average of 40 passes, 50 passes per game. They had to go to the seasons, and the goalkeeper should play short and being able to make decisions. And that was enjoyable how to see an experienced player taking ownership and responsibility and executing a completely different way of playing. And then John Stones, I don't think I've ever said that story publicly. Obviously, it was January. We were trying to find a centre half in Wigan. And I say to my chief of scout, Kevin Reeves, who's very well experienced, to find that potential player. I said, Kevin, we need a centre half, a ball playing centre half, but he can defend big spaces, but he's very good on the ball. He went around, came back, said, I've got the player. He plays in the Championship, he plays at Barnsley, he's playing as a wing-back. I said, and you think he could be a centre? He said, without a doubt, he'll play for England one day. And those were his words. So we tried to send John, and putting the long story short, this is the deadline day. We're trying to reach an agreement with Barnsley. Everything is going quickly. The agents are in the training ground.
Oh, that's splendid play.
It seems that's going to happen. I go to training. When I come back, the CEO comes back. He was just all white. He said, you won't believe it, John.
Good idea.
I said, what do you mean? What's happened? He said, I don't know. I said, they gone. They disappeared. The agents, they just left. There was some transfer deadline. And then we saw the announcement. He was signing for Everton. So he gets to Everton. He doesn't play a minute. Then, ruling 6 months later, I become the Everton manager. I arrive, and they give me a list. There were 4 right backs: Tony Hibbert, Seamus Coleman, Gareth Browning, and John Stones. And they said he's never played in the first team, but he's the right back that we built. At that point, I knew that was the centre half that I wanted in the bus. So we said, well, I need to follow.
Well, there's been a lot of chatter on the internet about
Kevin Reeves' experience, and we started working with John Stones as a centre half. He came on against Chelsea. We beat Chelsea at home 1-0 at Goodison Park, and we started just to give him a little bit of a feel, and he became the player that he is today. When really, if I would have never had that pass, it would have been very difficult to pick him up where he was at Everton at that time. So I could tell you many stories of that first season that everybody was used in what they could bring in an experience or a young role, but it made sense. It became a really strong dressing room, and the results were on the pitch.
That's a bad story, you know. I told that. That's the whole story. Let me ask a question. Just so you know, when your time came to an end at Everton, do you feel like you was unfairly treated?
I think you need to accept it. I think you need to accept it as a manager. For me, totally. I felt that we were very close. Probably we were one window away, as it happens in the Premier League. You have to use the windows really well. I remember one window that we managed. We had to sell Marouane Fellaini, Victor Nichibi, and we brought James McCarthy, Gareth Bale, Romelu Lukaku, and Gerardo Lofeu.
Yellow
It's a
card
window
it
that
is.
changes completely what you can do. I
That
think
was
we were
just
one
one
window
too
away
many.
to
He
be
was
able to
always going
win
to get
silverware.
booked.
You get 2 semi-finals. We already finished 5th. I think you get
Sloppy
to a point that
from Arsenal.
sometimes you have to compromise a little bit to finish 6th or finish 11th. For me in the Premier League, that's not a difference. If that's going to help you to be strong in the cup competitions, we had a really good. In 2015, Everton was the last British team, English team to stay in a European competition. That's how much has changed from that point. That point in 2015 was difficult for the English teams with the intensity of the Premier League to be able to have freshness to play European competitions, and then they found a way to get bigger squads, to rotate players and use the intensity in a good way. But that was a really good journey, and we were very close. But I accept as well that we hit certain standards that they needed more, and you accept it as a manager. And there are many games that we lost for small details. If we would have won, I'm sure I would have had more time. But that's something that looking back, I'm very, very proud of what we achieved and the way that we achieved, because some of the football that we played in those 3 seasons was of the highest level. Being able to beat Man United home and away, it wasn't done since Harry Kane times in the 60s. There are many aspects that they were very, very important in terms of achievement.
Now, there's like international football. So, is it similar in the sense when you're sitting down with a club, then now you're sitting down with a country? Like, for me, it sounds massive. But what is that process? And then when Belgium came in, and of course, like, that's Belgium at that time where we can reel off hella names. Do you know what I'm saying? And that Belgium, is it what's the difference in like international and club when you sit down?
That was the toughest
Group stage action today, and every point counts. Every result. We're in the south of France today. Hello and welcome from the Velodrome in Marseille. Joining me, Guy Mowbray, for commentary will be Sue Smith. And we have live action from the second game of pre-season coming up for you. What can we expect from the game then?
Yeah, both teams will be looking to get 3 points today, and it doesn't matter that it's a pre-season.
And it's on now. Offside, and by a good distance as well. Here's the lineup for Arsenal.
They are lining up in a 4-3-3 system, and with this, it naturally creates triangles all over the pitch. So it means lots of options for players. It does allow them to get forward and support the attacks as well.
Great rhythm, there's a real flow to this. Promising looking attack building from Arsenal. Decent delivery.
Yo, what do you mean you can't sub? Sub, man, I sub
Was
to your
looking good,
channel.
but there it's ended.
I sub to my. Well, I'm gonna unsub.
Struggling to keep it here. Keeping the ball really nicely here.
Yeah, just trying to draw them out of position, aren't they?
And the forward progress continues. Chance for the lead. Could be still. Oh, it's a golden chance that's been missed.
It's got to be more composed in front of goal. It's a big chance missed to take the lead.
Beautifully weighted ball. It's played into the box. Still trouble here. And nothing coming from their play in the end. And the flag's up. It's offside.
Well, he's got to do better at getting himself back on side. He's just stood there. No idea what's going on around him.
Have hit that really nicely, but just wide of the goal. That's a lovely ball. There might be something building now. Good work, they've got it back. And the tackle spot on.
Yeah, he had to time that well, and he did.
It's true when I can. When I can, when I have time.
There's a good amount of freedom here. Put into the box. The goalkeeper has that and keeps it in his grasp.
As you can see, the stats say it all. Neither side have had enough quality in the last third. They've lacked a final pass. Hopefully this game picks up.
Play will restart with a goal kick. I'm sure, like most of us, you've been following the transfer saga that seems to have gone on for a while. But now it's gone through, Sue. Deal done.
Well, there's been so much money spent over the past few years. When you look at this, it's an absolute bargain. He's a good player that's going to add a real quality. And I'm sure the clubs will be gutted to miss out.
There's the whistle, and that's all for the first half here at the Velodrome. Back at it for the second half. Still all square, but for how long? Setting up the chance. And the pass is incomplete. Nicely won. There may be an opportunity to get...
Can you not hear me?
Their noses in front with this corner. It's been delivered. What a chance here. And it's on now. And it's in. It's no longer goalless. There's the opener.
Well, this is all about how quickly they go from back to front. The pace on the counter's frightening, and all the forward has to do is get on the end of it, which he does so well. It's a really nice finish.
Well, it took a while, but the game restarts after the goal it needed to get things going.
Mesdames et messieurs, votre attention s'il vous plaît. Nous rappelons à tous les amis supporters que tout comportement violent dans l'enceinte du stade sera sévèrement sanctionné. Merci.
An hour played, 30 to go now. Arsenal regaining possession. Really nicely played. What can they do with this now? Sent into the middle. Decent move looked to be building, but that's it for now.
Oh, that's exactly what you need. Standing firm, not giving an inch.
Waiting in the centre. Oh, could be a chance here. And away it goes. Not so much given away as cleverly won. And they might be in. That's done little to clear the danger. A move that had much promise, but it's a promise broken.
Can you hear me? Type yes if you can hear me.
That's a good ball. Here we go! And a vital save. They're not out of this.
Yeah, he's done his job. just need to act quickly now.
And the corner is fired in. Strong hands, rising high to gather under pressure. A chance to get in behind here. This could be dangerous. No time to dwell on it. Well, if they keep the ball like this, they win the game. Could take things forward a notch here.
Temps additionnel, 1 minute. Temps additionnel, 1 minute.
So that will do it for today, and it's the visitor.
After weeks of anticipation, we get to find out for real what is going to happen. A special occasion. It is the first match of a brand new campaign. Hello, it's great to be with you, and our venue for this match is the Swansea.com Stadium. I'm Derek Ray, and delighted to have alongside me Sue Smith, the former England attacker, who will provide all the technical and tactical analysis. And you can really sense the anticipation in the crowd ahead of kickoff, with their respective league seasons about to get underway. It's Swansea City versus Arsenal.
Yeah, last season was great and they're certainly used to winning. It is a step up in standards, but I'm sure they'll be ready. The aim has to be to stay in the league and just to keep building. A win away from home would certainly be a huge boost.
Well, let's dissect the Swansea City lineup.
Yeah, a 4-5-1 or a 4-2-3-1. A lot of coaches are adopting this nowadays, as it does give you those two holding players, while you've still got plenty of threat from the wide wingers.
And here's how Arsenal will line up.
Well, no real surprise to see they're also set up in the same formation. It's just how effective those wide players can be. The onus is really on them to attack those bylines and turn their fullbacks.
Thank you, Liberty Stadium. Enjoy the game.
So here we go, an exciting 90 minutes in prospect. Liam Cullen. Ali. Nice looking pass. Could play it in. Well, it's one pass after another.
Yeah, you can see they're just trying to draw them out. The back line just needs to hold firm.
Ali. Will it happen for them? Full marks to the keeper.
Oh, no idea. You just expected it to go in from there, but the keeper had other ideas. It's a top-class save.
Can he deliver it with accuracy? Could be more trouble. Oh, good work to deny the opportunity. Now opening things up. Can they nudge in front? And still off the post and back in play.
Well, that was a good attempt.
Oh, wait a minute! Very quick thinking there. Well, it's the hope of any player to make a bright start with their new club, and today is no exception.
Well, I think he'll get a lot of energy up and down the line. He's got the ability to get forward and attack, but then he's got the endurance to get back and help the defence out. He's a good signing, you know.
Cameron Burgess. Franco. And Swansea have it back now. Adam Ida. Yusuf Abdurisag. Excellent vision. A chance for them to provide a test in the form of a corner. is the delivery. Not the most confident clearance. Liam Cullen. Nice weight on the pass. Well, the keeper reacted magnificently. Yusuf Abdul-Razak.
Well, it was a great save, that, from the keeper. Showed his agility there to keep the ball out. It's a real important save to keep it all square.
And news of a change to the scoreline at the Hawthorns. Here's Alex with an update.
It's a goal for Blackburn Rovers. It's now 1-0 with 34 minutes on the clock. Your fans are enjoying what they're seeing here today, Derek.
Alex with the info as ever. Not the greatest of throw-ins. And over the byline it goes. So a goal kick coming up here. He has teammates around him. And credit is due for that good piece of defending. Well, the ball just keeps bouncing around.
Yeah, they're just not on the same wavelength, are they?
And moving the ball forward with genuine purpose here. Good pressure to win it back. Gonzalo Franco.
Indicated there will be a minimum of 1 minute of added time.
On to Key. And the whistle is sounded for half-time in this game. So back underway. The defence is so far ruling the roost. Will that be the case in the second half? Franco. On to Burgess. Well, there's been so much talk about a potential transfer, but it's potential no more. It's fact.
Yeah, it's a real exciting signing. Around 90 million, I think they got him for. They'll be delighted to have him at the club. He's a great player that I'm certain will add so much.
Well, the keeper calmly putting that moment of danger to bed. Yusuf Abdul-Razak. Lopez. Good weight on that pass. This for the lead. And a goal! 1-0 it is. They've been pushing for the opener, and now they have it.
Well, look at this really clever move. It's such great skill to beat the defender. And he watches it all the way, then just tucks it in with confidence.
So underway again here. 1-0 the score. Liam Cullen. Well, we have 30 minutes to go. Franco. And a timely intervention. Well, time to send it over to Alex Scott now, because, Alex, I believe there's been a goal in the Millwall game.
It's a goal for Hull City. It was a poor clearance, and then it was far too easy for him after that. It's now 1-0 with 63 minutes played.
Alex, thank you very much. And it's with Lopez. A real opening now. And it's gone in. Just what the doctor ordered. Things looking very bright for them now with this buffer.
Well, here we can see it again. Sometimes when you're through 1v1, it's easy to be caught in two minds. He was just really composed and the keeper had no chance.
Franco. And Cullen on the ball. Oh, useful ball. Attractive build-up. Franco. On the offensive. Well, that's how to keep the opposition at bay. And news of a change to the scoreline up the Hawthorns. Here's Alex with an update. Can he put it away? Low delivery into the box. There it is! The goals keep coming. No stopping them today.
If we look at this again, it's all about the delivery into the box. It's excellent. And then it's a fantastic finish. Strikes it brilliantly. And the keeper just can't get to it. That's a really nice goal.
Well, we had to interrupt Alex in full flow there. Apologies for that. For clarification, Blackburn did score in that game. And their advantage at the moment stands at 2-0. 10 minutes left for play. Liam Cullen. Josh Key. On to Cabango. Ida. Read that pass all the way, cutting it out. Romero. Oh, in with a chance. A goal! An exceptional performance this. 4 to the good now.
Well, here's the replay, and it's a nice through ball to split the defence. And as soon as he's through 1v1 with the goalkeeper, he just goes for power and smashes it in the net. It's a quality finish.
Well, time for an update from the Hawthorns. I understand, Alex Scott, there's been a goal there.
Yep, it's a goal for West Brom. They've pulled one back with only a few minutes left to play.
Thanks as always to Alex Scott. Played into the centre.
There will be a minimum of 2 minutes of added time.
And the attack fizzling out. It's with Romero. Distributing it well. Ali. Oh, back of the net! And a debut goal to boot. It doesn't get much better than that.
Well, if we watch this again, it's a lovely technique. Sees the goalkeeper's position.
And that is that. The referee blows his whistle for full time, and it's a victory for the visitors.
Well,